All right, we're about to meet a microscopic organism that lives on nearly half of us, right now. Seriously. It looks like a little bunch of grapes, and, most of the time, it's completely harmless. But it's also a master of disguise with a seriously deadly arsenal, and we're only just beginning to understand its secrets. This is the story of Staphylococcus.
So here's a question for you. What in the world is the connection between the surface of your skin, the inside of your nose, and a life-threatening hospital infection? Well, the answer isn't a place or a thing. It's a tiny, microscopic inhabitant that they all share.
And here it is. This is Staphylococcus. The name itself is actually a huge clue. It comes from the Greek word staphyle, which means bunch of grapes. And when you look at it under a microscope, you can totally see why. It's a perfect description for these little clustered spheres.
So let's get properly introduced to the Staph family. Because to really understand how it can be so dangerous, we first need to know who it is, and maybe more importantly, where it likes to hang out. Now, all the key details are right here, but here's the most important takeaway. Staph isn't some foreign invader we catch. For up to half of all adults, it's already here, living totally harmlessly on our skin and in our noses. It's just a normal part of our personal ecosystem. And that, right there, is what makes its most dangerous strain, Staphylococcus aureus, such a unique threat. This is probably the most crucial thing to get about Staph. It has two faces. On one hand, it's a completely peaceful resident, just minding its own business. But you give it an opening and something as simple as a paper cut is enough, and it can flip a switch and become a dangerous pathogen. It's a classic Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation, just happening on a microscopic scale. So what is it that allows this transformation from a harmless resident to a dangerous invader? Well, the answer is that Staph doesn't just sit around and wait for opportunities. It comes fully equipped with an entire arsenal of attack.
In the science world, these weapons are called virulence factors, but really, you can just think of it as the bacteria's personal toolkit for causing disease. It's a whole set of molecular gadgets that let it invade our body, dodge our defenses, and cause some serious damage.
And Staph's arsenal is just brilliantly strategic. It uses enzymes like coagulase to literally build itself a fortress out of our own blood clots. It has defenses like protein A that act as a cloaking device, making it invisible to our immune system. And if it does get caught, it unleashes toxins, actual poisons that destroy our cells and turn the whole battlefield in its favor. So, with an arsenal like that, Staph is obviously ready for battle. So, let's take a look at its invasion plan, step by step. The whole invasion follows a really clear plan. It starts with access, just finding any small break in the skin. Then it begins to colonize, multiplying like crazy. From there, it busts out its virulence factors to evade our immune system's patrols. And the final stage? Damage. That's when the bacteria's activity causes all the inflammation and destruction that we actually recognize as an infection. A lot of times, the battle just stays right there on the skin. This is where Staph causes all those common problems, like infected hair follicles or really painful boils. It is especially good at colonizing wounds or burns, taking advantage of any breach in our body's first line of defense. But the real danger is when Staph breaks past the skin and goes deep. Once it gets into the bloodstream, it can travel pretty much anywhere, causing pneumonia in the lungs, osteomyelitis in the bones, or septicemia, which you probably know better as blood poisoning. These systemic infections are absolute medical emergencies. And that brings us to the most urgent part of this story, the evolution of Staph into something even more dangerous. We're talking about the rise of the superbugs. The problem isn't just that these bacteria are pathogenic, it's that they are evolving to be, well, unstoppable. They are literally learning to shrug off the very medicines we designed to kill them. The most famous of these, of course, is MRSA. That's methicillin-resistant Staph aureus. It's not a new species, but a strain that has evolved resistance to our main go-to class of antibiotics, including penicillin. This essentially neutralizes our primary weapons against it, which makes these infections incredibly difficult to treat.
This resistance is exactly why hospitals have become ground zero. As this source points out, hospital-acquired infections are a huge concern because they're so often caused by these superbug strains. Think about it. The constant use of antibiotics in a hospital creates the perfect environment for them to evolve and spread.
But you know what? The fight isn't over. Not by a long shot. So in this final section, let's look at how science and medicine are fighting back against this evolving microbial threat. The fight always starts with some good old-fashioned detective work. In the lab, technicians will confirm those grape-like clusters, but then they run two really crucial tests. The first, a catalase test, basically answers the question, is this staph or its cousin, strep? The second, a coagulates test, asks the most important question of all, is this the highly dangerous SRES?
Treatment is a strategic counterattack. It often starts physically, by draining abscesses. For a standard infection, penicillin-type antibiotics work just fine. But if the diagnosis is MRSA, the entire playbook changes. Doctors have to turn to powerful, last-resort antibiotics, like vancomycin, just to have a chance.
And because treatment can be so difficult, prevention is our most powerful weapon, hands down. In hospitals, that means isolating patients and screening staff. But for all of us, the strategy is twofold. Only using antibiotics when absolutely necessary to slow down that evolution, and practicing the single best defense we have, thorough hand washing. It's so crucial.
So in the end, what we're looking at is an evolutionary arms race. Staphylococcus has been our companion for millennia, constantly adapting and evolving its defenses. As this master survivor continues to change, the really critical question is, can our medicine keep up?